Hello everyone. Just a quick update on Google's latest AI model that was released today, and it's called Gemma. Most importantly, it's an open source model. In contrast to the model which they launched just a week ago, again, that was their next generation AI model, one of their most capable model with the longest context window up to million tokens. That was Gemini 1.5. But the thing is, this is a closed model, whereas the one they just launched today, Gemma, this is a open source model. So I have put together a brief table to see what kinds of different types of closed and open source AI models that are available today, and what are the main key differences between the open source and closed models. Let's take a look at it. Google released its breakthrough AI model, Gemini 1.5, just a week ago. The most important thing about Gemini 1.5 was that it had a context window of up to 1 million tokens, which even went up to 10 million tokens in their internal research. That's sensational and truly revolutionary because no other state-of-the-art AI models, whether it's ChatGPT, or Cloud 2.1 from Anthropic, can mimic this kind of a performance what Gemini 1.5 can do when it comes to context length. As you can see here, ChatGPT comes in two versions, the free version and the paid version. The free version uses GPT 3.5 model, whereas the paid version uses GPT 4 model. The context window, with ChatGPT or GPT 4 models, the maximum it could go was 128,000 tokens. Whereas coming to Google's own closed models, right, the previous version was Gemini 1.0. Similar to ChatGPT, it had a free version which uses Gemini 1.0 Pro, and it also has an advanced paid version, Gemini 1.0 Ultra, their largest model. And the context window, as you can see here, it was 32,000 tokens. Whereas the one they launched a week ago, that was their best, right? Their best AI model, 1.5 Pro, because it was able to handle context length or the token length up to million. So they are even experimenting, as I said, up to 10 million tokens. But that's revolutionary. See, but even the most important thing is Gemini 1.5 Pro. Even though context window was up to 1 million compared to the previous AI models, which were like having 128,000 max. The performance of Gemini 1.5 Pro, even with this kind of a context length, right, was similar to its largest model, Gemini 1.0 Ultra. So that's a beautiful thing about Gemini 1.5. See, but the thing is, these are all closed models. Whether it's Gemini 1.5 or different versions of ChatGPT, these are all closed. In contrast, what Google launched today was Gemma. It's open source model. So if you want to compare Gemma, we need to compare it with similar open source models. And I did some quick research and compiled some information about the latest state of the art, open source models. And I have put in this table. So you can see how Gemma compares with other open source models like Llama 2, Bloom, or Mistral. And we can see that Gemma comes in two sizes, 2 billion and 7 billion. Most importantly, Gemma is trained on a wide variety of data sources that totals around 6 trillion tokens. This is huge, guys, compared to, Llama 2, which was, trained on like 2 trillion tokens. So this is amazing. Not only that, even the context window of Gemma is around 8,000 tokens compared to Llama 2, which was around 4,000 tokens. Bloom was 2,000 tokens. Mistral was around, 8,000 tokens. We're not sure, how many tokens Mistral was trained on. So we're not sure about that. But, compared to all of these other open source models, it looks like, Gemma is certainly amazing, and being trained on almost all 6 trillion tokens right away, I think we can tell that it should perform better than other state-of-the-art models like Llama 2. See, this is amazing development because even though Gemma may not perform as well as Gemini 1.5, right? Because Gemini 1.5 is their longest context and most capable model. It's still amazing because Gemma is open source. And, okay, so if you're wondering, what is a big deal about open source and close, let's take a look. So compared to the closed models like ChatGPT or Gemini 1.5, open source models have like Llama 2 or Gemma, they have huge advantages. So what are they? The most important one is customizability. So open source model can be modified to suit specific needs of end user, right? I mean, we can fine tune the entire model on our dataset, or maybe freeze some layers and selectively fine tune only those layers, basically, altering the architecture. So sky's the limit here, guys. And transparency, right? I mean, we can review the model's code, understand it's working, and verify the data it was trained on, enhancing the trust. And not only that, the community support is amazing for open source models, right? Because a lot of developers contribute to improvements, bug fixes, and new features. So much can be done with open source model. And also, open source model contribute towards ethical and responsible AI. And when it comes to accessibility, guys, this beats everything, right? It's free, lowering the barriers to entry for research and application development. So I'm excited a lot. So, Google, it's been quiet for a while. Like, Google again is the pioneer when it comes to open source model development, but it's been quiet, relatively quiet over the past year or so. But now it has released, Gemma. So let's take a look at Gemma. So here comes Gemma, guys, Google's latest state-of-the-art open source model, which was released just a little while ago. And the cooler thing is, Gemma is developed with the same research and technology that was behind the Gemini models. They're state-of-the-art closed models, including the Gemini 1.5 and Gemini Ultra 1, which was launched just a couple of weeks ago. So let's take a closer look at Gemma. So Google says that they believe in making AI helpful for everyone. Well, to the most part, it's true in the sense that even at the cost of being slow to the market, right? Google, whenever they release either a closed model or an open source model, they want to make sure that it's responsible and safe. So they are a little bit on the conservative side. So we'll give them that. They also have as they say, they have a long history of contributing to open source community, which is true. There's been a gap, right? In the recent time, they haven't released anything, but they were the pioneers, right? They were the pioneers, and they contributed a lot to open source community, especially with the transformers architecture. As we, many of you know, transformers architecture is the foundation behind all latest cutting edge AI models, including the GPT stacks, right? GPT 1, 2, 3, 4, those that power chat GPT. So, Google was the one which founded transformer architecture in 2017. And also TensorFlow, right? I mean, all the modern day deep learning, anything, you want to do with generative AI, it's deep learning. And the top frameworks for deep learning is TensorFlow and PyTorch. PyTorch was developed by Meta. The other top one, the TensorFlow, is developed by Google. And also the BERT architecture, right? BERT is again one of the pioneering large language model, which was published immediately after Transformers architecture, which was built on Transformers. That was one of the, a revolution for NLP, basically, BERT. So that was again from Google. So after a long time, right, there's been a gap. There's been a dull moment here, there for more than a year, I think. So now finally we have Gemma. So Google says that the name Gemma was inspired by Gemini. Again, the Latin word stands Gemma, meaning precious stone. So Google wants to release AI models that are precious. So not only they want to release, precious AI models, but they also want it to be responsible, right? So with the Gemma release, they're not only releasing the model weights, but they're also releasing tools that can support developer innovation, foster collaboration, and most importantly, a guide as to how to use these, open source model in a more responsible way. So that's always been Google. Okay, let's look at some of the highlights of Gemma, which has been released worldwide starting today. So as I alluded earlier, they're releasing the model weights in two sizes, Gemma 2 billion and Gemma 7 billion. Each size is released with pre-trained and also, instruction-tuned variations. Okay. They're also releasing a responsible generative AI toolkit, which provides guidance and tools, how to create safer AI applications, with Gemma. And another interesting thing is that, they're providing tool chains for inference and supervised fine-tuning across all major frameworks, not just, TensorFlow, or so across JAX, PyTorch, and TensorFlow, again, which is integrated with Keras. And we can use Gemma open source, it's ready to use in Colab or Kaggle notebooks, or, we can integrate and with popular tools like, Hugging Face, which is hub for all the latest AI models, So you can integrate with many other tools that are out there. So both the pre-trained and instruction-tuned Gemma models can run on our laptop, workstation, or Google Cloud, right? This is the amazing part. So, with Google Cloud, again, you can easily deploy it on Vertex AI or, Google Kubernetes engine. So this is the beautiful thing, right? So of being an open source and little bit smaller, 7 billion compared to some of their larger models, right? It's open source, so we can readily use them. And the amazing thing is we can run it on laptop, workstation, or Google, whatever we want. So that's the beauty of it. And they have optimized it across different hardware platforms, whether it's NVIDIA GPUs or Google Cloud TPUs. And there's license, from what I can see, it was a standard license, it's an open source license. So again, please take a look at the license to see how else, what are all the things you can do it. But from preliminary glimpse, it looks like it's a standard open source license which we can use to build some cool applications. Okay, what about the performance? See, this is the beauty. So even though it's open source, right, it's a smaller model. The performance is state of the art, meaning at least compared to other open source models. So Google saying that Gemma beat all of them. So, and they're saying the reason for that is the technical and infrastructure components, behind Gemma are the same as those were behind Gemini, their largest and most capable AI model that is widely available. Again, they released Gemini 1.5 a week ago. So whatever went into building their closed models, Gemini, right? The technical or infrastructure components, the same thing were responsible behind Gemma also. So they're saying that gives Gemma the edge. Even though it's open source model, it's a smaller model, it has amazing performance compared to other open source model, and we can see that, and as they say, it surpasses significantly larger other open source model and key benchmarks. So they have put here a little bit of comparison with Gemma 7 billion model with, again, the latest state of the art Llama 2 model. They have compared Gemma with two sizes of Llama 2, 7 billion, 13 billion. If you see, even compared to 13 billion, Gemma pretty much outperforms that on many different benchmarks. So if we want to take a deeper look at Gemma's performance here, there is another report here. Again, I'm going to include the link to this report in the description. Please check it out. Gemma models, even though sizes are small, it outperforms other open source models, and we can see that here real quick. So on different tasks, right, whether it's question answering or reasoning, math, science, coding. So here you can see the performance of different open source model are compared with each other, and as you can see, Gemma in green, right? Let's take for question answering. So Llama 2 13 billion is in red. So you can see that Gemma, even though it's a smaller model, it's comparable to the Llama 2, the larger Llama 2 model on question answering. And on reasoning, it looks like either also pretty similar for reasoning. Whereas in math, science, and coding, it clearly outperforms, Llama to 13 billion or even Mistral. So, this is the beauty with Gemma. So, again, this is amazing for developers like all of us. So we can really, so far we were relying on Llama 2, but now we have Gemma, another tool in our arsenal to build some really, really cool applications. Again, you can check out this report where they have more detailed comparisons of Gemma with Llama 2 and Mistral for different benchmarks. For most of the scenarios, Gemma outperformed Llama 2 and Mistral. Maybe in one or two particular benchmarks, Mistral and Llama had an edge, but on majority of them, Gemma outperformed, Llama 2 and Mistral. So there are a few more details in this blog post here, with respect to how to use Gemma open source model in a more responsible and ethical way. Again, if you want to check out all these details, I'm going to include this link in the description. But if you want to know, how to access, start playing with, the Gemma open source model, again, you can go to this link here. And, here they show right now the different ways we can access the Gemma. Again, we can access Gemma, in Kaggle, or on Google Cloud, or with a low rank adaptation with JAX via Keras 3. Again, you can open that in Colab. So let me click the Kaggle link here. So if you go to the Kaggle, again, they describe a little bit about the Gemma. Again, you can see the model card and everything. So again, it's a lightweight, state-of-the-art model, and importantly, they are text-to-text decoder only, right? For example, Gemini, right? All the Gemini models, they are multimodal models, meaning they can take as input text, code, image, audio, video. Right, which even ChatGPT, I don't think it can do. Right, it cannot accept anything. But Gemini, the closed models, Gemini, either 1.0 or 1.5 for sure, it can take text, audio, video, code, and all that as input. But since this Gemma, which is the open source model, it's a text to text only. Okay, it's a text to text only and decoder, a large language model, and currently available in English. Okay, but nevertheless, it's pretty amazing, guys. Like, we can do pretty cool things. We can take the Gemma architecture, fine tune it, play with it, build on top of it. Okay, so what do you think? I truly see a world where Gemma accelerates AI breakthroughs way faster than we have seen before, because it's not just about Google, right? It's about enabling a global community of innovators, and I certainly feel that Gemma can do that. This truly feels like a pivotal moment, in how we develop and use AI. So this video was all about, I just wanted to introduce Gemma, Google's latest state-of-the-art open source model, and how it compares with other open source state-of-the-art model like Llama 2. It outperforms knows that. So in a later video, I'm going to do a more in-depth and explain how to fine-tune Gemma for any other particular tasks or needs, or data sets we may have, how to fine-tune Gemma. So I'm going to do that in a later video. But please let me know what do you think about Gemma in the comment section. If you want to stay on the cutting edge of AI, please like the video and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching, and stay curious.